but it was the quiet, unmistakable sound of electric motors that at exactly 0317 hours on the February the 14th of the year 2626 ripped the ink-black waters of Novorossiysk Harbor. Soon, the Russian Black Sea Fleet Command, a well-guarded naval center surrounded by 11 layers of anti-saboteur nets, underwater sonar fences, and rapid deployment coastal defense batteries, would be notified that there is a crack in every wall. Abnormally shallow ripples drawn to the anti-torpedo net barrier's outer edges were noticed by one alert sonar operator on board the Admiral Essen frigate. When he was about to plug his fingers into the alarm button, he heard the first explosion. A MAGURA V7 UX hit land with 320 kilos of high-explosive material known as Composition H6 and detonated into the outermost steel net barrier, hence the ripped underwater steel mesh, like paper. The shock wave went down through the water, jarring the hulls of all of the warships moored in the inner harbor. This, however, wasn't the attack. This is where the doorbell was. After 8 seconds, it was an apocalyptic red on the tactical situation display of the harbor. Meanwhile, 14 more and varied MAGURA sea drones came out in the holes on the torn netting from 3 different directions on the compass, obscuring with hydrofoil stabilizers, new installations, and with a thermal orienteering painting, their IR signature and acoustic signature. It wasn't towards the ships of war that they were rushing. They were targets on the convenience side of the fence, such as the fuel deposit pier, the submarine pen gate, and the central command communication tower of the harbor. This was no assassination, but a bring-in. That dismantling was a Yitong Xing one. But worse than the rolling of the water was waking up above it. The first sea explosion was observed over Novorossiysk at 03:18 hours in orange tendrils of exhaust, spreading the sky 12 seconds into the explosion. In the meantime, Ukrainian Special Operations Forces were launching a swarm of 36 Bohdana loitering munitions, another innovative battlefield creation Ukraine has trademarked as the kamikaze drone, Sateti. A new iteration of this trademark feature that features a longer time on target and will expand its area of operation for more than 4 hours, and a warhead of 45 kilograms in shape and designed to penetrate the hardened steel armor decks of Russian frigate and corvette-class vessels. This were not 2023 cruddy cardboard drones. These were killing machines based on thousands of hours of satellite images of Novorossiysk Harbor and target recognition software using a neural net, aimed largely at the actions of AI. As well as a list of potential targets pre-programmed into the drone, each was also wired with autonomous decision-making abilities to be able to retarget in real time based on visual data it collected from the electro-optical sensor on the underside. They were split up into the 4 sets, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, with each assigned a quadrant of the anchored fleet. Meanwhile, the alarms of Russian off-coast electronic warfare equipment, EWE, had all the blood draining from its operator's face. The reception was from a satellite-up UV relays, but not from Ukraine, but from a SIGINT relay node NATO over the Black Sea via broadband encryption. Not long ago, it's not just about Ukraine they were fighting. A network of distributed AI powered the drone swarm, which received a real-time update from a web of allied sensors, one a RQ-4 Global Hawk, an unmanned aircraft over international space above the western Black Sea, and another, a French Navy maritime patrol aircraft, Atlantique II, flying a racetrack pattern just south of the Turkish EEZ. Data fusion was a great success. God-tier drone army. Before we get to what comes next, though, so we'll answer the question: is Russia's multi-layer wardrobe at harbor installations able to withstand such a concerted swarm attack? Comment 1 if you think they aren't going to budge. If you believe you have seen the whole fleet, write it on Derby Torn Fider Tron Chan Tin. Dirty 2019 with some comments. Let's wait and see what else turned out to occur. The Russian response was prompt and angry, and it was exactly what Ukraine had expected. The Admiral Essen's CIC was in pretty much uncontrolled chaos when the first MAGURA had broken the net barrier. The A-190 100mm naval gun was beginning to rattle, and its illuminating lighting was pouring a blinding white light into the harbor. On the superstructure of the frigate, the Panzer M man-to-machine missile assistant MIM system was turning its radar at full rotem to vector on the loitering munition swarm that had launched itself towards the vessel. Meanwhile, the four barrels firing on the harbor defenses spit tracer streams into the night. The AK-630M close-in weapon systems fired at a quadruple the rate of fire, reaching a total of 24,000 RPM. The acoustics within the harbor became a living hell with the Navy's cannon fire, but also anti-saboteur grenade launchers within the harbor resonating to the water's impact of the drones, and the deep percussive thud of the underwater exploding sea drones. Russian defense's first 90 seconds of battle seemed a stunning success. 36 loitering munitions were identified, with 22 of them being either shot down or electronically jammed and brought to the sea. Some of the 14 sea drones successfully made it to their targets, with the rest destroyed by 30mm rounds that were blitzed at them. On the outside, the defense was staking great position. But it is a mirage Ukraine had set up. These strikes were leaving behind huge electromagnetic and thermal footprints for Ukraine's external surveillance technologies, including drones shot down, signal jamming, and intercepts by a CIWS ship. For every time Panzer M was activated, the exact frequency, pulse repetition interval, and scanning pattern were given. After every shot of the AK-630M firing, the data was acquired on how fast the console moved, on the optimal altitude of the minimal firing zone, and even no fire, the area between the zones of adjacent fire. Position of the positions of the hidden illumination posts along the breakwater was illuminated in each illumination round. The goal of Ukraine tonight wasn't to sink the fleet. Ukraine was working on a huge blueprint that would indicate exactly what steps to take during next's attack. But there was yet another gun to come. 5 minutes into the battle at 0322 hours, the man assigned to the ship's sonar reported what made no tactical sense whatsoever to the Admiral Essen. Below, there was a very faint but clear ultra-low frequency signature with range propagation through the water of 85 meters, only 12 meters deeper than the sonar detection depth operating in this harbor. The signature was not a biological signature. It was mechanical, but it had nothing in common with any underwater equipment of Ukraine's Navy, as mentioned in their list of recognized Ukrainian underwater equipment. The frequency of the signal was 2.3 Hz, the acoustical hallmark of the hydrogen peroxide oxidizer-powered closed-cycle diesel engine that Russia has been using, and one that it found 20 years ago to be too risky to maintain. By the time it was realized that the UUV they are operating is the infamous most guarded secret, Symbol 7, an 8.5-meter-long unmanned vessel capable of carrying a 500-kilogram TNT equivalent warhead in its nose. For the Symbol 7, it was not the net barrier, always the decoy, but the main shipping channel entrance where the ship had slipped in the acoustic shadow of a recently departed civilian cargo ship 40 minutes before. The UUV had crossed the harbor's magnetic boundary fence, and once inside the fence, the UUV had released its magnetic damping mechanism and gradually stealthily moved closer to its target, magnetic clamping system, on battery power only. It was in fact targeting no ship. Harbor's largest vulnerability, the main seawater intake of the submarine pens at Novorossiysk. The submarine should be housed in this large 3-meter diameter underwater tunnel, where air would be cooled by cold seawater to cool the reactors and diesel generators in the submarine using a reinforced concrete pen. Without this culvert, these submarines would be unable to run their engines, charge their batteries, and unable to dive and get out through the submerged exit channel. These would then be easy targets for stuff to hit them again. Cymbal 7 was approaching 6 knots, 400 meters to culvert entrance. With the noise of combat overhead, his headphones, the Russian sonar operator had less than 4 minutes to determine if the Atlantic cruiser carried an American submarine and get his chain of command to act accordingly. The time on board the Admiral Essen was 03:24 hours, and the moment had arrived at the appointed stage. 3 crises were before the ship's captain, Captain First Rank Viktor Petrov, a 3-time Black Sea veteran. Initially, all of the other sea drones were on a dance-like erratic, evasive pattern, dancing off of any anchored civilian vessels and withering away if attacked by the CIWS without also destroying neutral shipping. The remaining 14 loitering munitions split up and adopted the pop-up attack profile, climbing to 500 mm, then dropping straight down all the way down to Admiral Essen's deck. Panzer M had already exhausted 60% of its missiles and was beginning to experience system thermal overload, as it would be constantly running the radar complex. Now, his sonar officer was providing him with a report of an unidentified sonar contact within the harbor horizon that, if confirmed, was the end of the submarine force. That was a decision by Petrov, and one that will be taught at military schools for years to come. He has just instructed the Admiral Essen to start engines and to get underway, which will save his own ship, but at the cost of significant acoustic sounds, and hopefully the geek beard from everybody, all the sonars, at the harbor is off in the next 3 minutes. There was some serious business on the bottom in terms of white noise going around, like it was as the gas turbine engine started on the frigate. The Cymbal 7 totally vanished off Russian radar. It was free now and had one more shot at it to make. In the meantime, Petrov ordered the automated underwater barrier system, a bed of rising steel pilings which could be hydraulically pushed up from the subterranean part of the submarine pen to seal off the entrance to the harbor, to be turned on. There was, however, one big trick that Ukraine had on this plan, and it worked wonders. The obstacle network was attached to a shore-based PLC, programmable logic controller, for control via a fiber optic cable, which was laid down in the bottom of the harbor to communicate with the underwater valves. One Ukrainian diver from the 73rd Maritime Special Operations Center, MSOC, was surfaced and was less than a minute from the start of an attack inside a submerged sewage outfall pipe that went right under the Harbor Defense Command building. They had compromised the pre-war drainage system and made it to a fiber optic signal injection device at the maintenance junction box on a control line in a fiber optic system. The Harbor Defense Commander presses his button to lift obstacles, but the check is not sent to the valves. Instead, it was captured and edited and played back as a confirmation signal. So it would be a signal that would show that the obstacles were rising, but there were no obstacles rising. It was practically a ghost town. The pen gate of the submarine was open, and Cymbal 7 was already in its final approach. Nor had Ukraine attacked only a harbor. It had developed a total meltdown. The autonomous drones, an unmanned underwater vehicle, and a few divers in a sewage pipe all rendered every defense measure Novorossiysk had erected over 2 years ineffective in less than a decade. The era of drone warfare had begun, and the Black Sea Fleet of Russia was the first to fall sacrifice. Sign up for the next classified report on watching how China is learning and what it's building in response. Thanks for watching.